like you started your career in private equity firm as an analyst, as well as McKinsey, and then you went
That's
on
right.
for a MBA from ISB, and then you started B Resorts. Could you describe the entire journey?
It was quite different actually because I'd never wanted to be an entrepreneur. I never thought I'd be an entrepreneur. I was quite happy being a professional, life in private equity is very different. Then you come to consulting demands very long hours from you. But it was a good culture. It was a nice culture. So I quite enjoyed it. And then, of course, from McKinsey, mostly everybody does an MBA, a second MBA, or an MBA, which is from one of the good B schools. So we all started applying and everything. And, I decided to go to ISB. Some of the others went to different colleges. And I decided to do ISB because I'd already done one MBA before. So I said that, a 1-year program for me makes more sense than a 2-year program. And then I came back. Then again, I started working for a venture capital fund. And again, like I said, life with a venture capital fund and a private equity fund is very different. Doesn't demand very long hours from you. It demands a very different sort of a lifestyle. Like you are plugged into a whole lot of networks, that you know a whole lot of people, because the entire industry there is about getting new companies, talking to founders, getting new deal flow. So that life is very different. It basically centers around your network. And I was quite happy again doing that. And then, we had put in money into one company, which was V Resorts, where the promoters at that time, they had thought that, we are going to establish a company which will be sort of like an Airbnb. Okay, and we would like do a marketplace model, but that never really worked. And the money that we had given them ran out very quickly. It finished very quickly. So because of that particular reason, our founders and the the ones who were running it, they decided that look, they didn't want to really do anything and they didn't want to run the company anymore. So they left. So in our thing, it was our third portfolio company. So we had to decide whether to shut down the company or whether to do something with it. So I decided at that time that instead of working, in the venture capital side, I will become an entrepreneur and move to the portfolio company. In fact, I had been looking after it as an investor director as well. So that's how I moved into V Resorts. It's not exactly my own venture, but it is sort of my own because we funded it. We developed the thesis around it. We developed the thesis around experiential tourism, all the things that, are keywords right now. So that is basically a little bit about that.
So could you describe the challenges you faced during the early days of entrepreneurship?
Challenges of early days of a startup are exactly the same, okay, everywhere. It doesn't matter what you start, okay, you have teething troubles. The first challenge of a startup is basically to get the product right, okay, and we took 1 whole year to figure out what our product will be. So we first started as an aggregator, just like Oyo, we had different properties, we just put them on our platform. Then we figured that, if people are going for holidays, they don't like service which is not standardized. So in one property, they had one type of service. In the other property, they had another type of service. So the customers didn't quite enjoy that. And we felt that because it is the holiday segment, we have to do things a little bit differently. So we then became a management company. We decided to actually run the properties ourselves so that we could control the sort of quality that we are getting over there. And that's when we worked on how will our resort look like, what are the services that we want to give, because we are not a 5-star. We can't give all the services that a 5-star can give. So we started working on all that, and we did a lot of research. So we would start something in one destination, see what the reviews were, look at the customer feedback, and basically then again tailor make and again change the property or the proposition a little bit. So the first year of any startup is very difficult because they are trying to figure out whether the product is right, whether the market is accepting it, whether the everything is a challenge. So like my properties were very far off. So how do I get, standardized towels there? How do I get standardized crockery there? How do I get people who are trained professionals to go to such small places and manage it? So then we had to come up with a whole new model. So we had to ensure, so we decided that standardization of of things was not an option. Standardization of food was not an option, because I could not have a central procurement from coming from Delhi to all my zones in the north. I couldn't, because like when you're going to the hill and all, the last mile connectivity is so broken, you can't reach that property easily. It would have been very, very high cost, right? So I had to change the model. I had to figure it out. Then I decided, no, local procurement is the way to be. I had to hire locals, because the trained guys used to come there and then they used to run away, in a month's time, because the occupancy is also less and they're not used to it. They're used to the hustle and bustle of the big hotels. So ye sare challenges the, lots and lots of challenges. I mean, frankly, challenges never go away in a startup, they remain. So in the first phase, we had to figure out a lot of things about our own model.
What are your thoughts on ecotourism and travel sustainability?
On ecotourism, okay.
Yes.
No, so ecotourism is not yet a big trend in India. It's a big trend outside India, okay, but it's not yet a big trend in India. So things take a little bit of time to catch up in India, okay. Just like Airbnb never became a trend. It's actually not even a trend now in India. So people are happy to stay in Airbnbs in Europe, but they're not so happy to go to, a Sattal or a Bhimtal and stay in Airbnb. So it is still a trend which is catching on, okay. People in India are not so conscious that, if I'm going on a holiday, why should I think about improving somebody else's life? It doesn't matter to me. I'm going on a holiday because I'm working so hard and I'm tired and I want to go on a holiday, right? So ecotourism is very nascent. I think it's going to take time for people to figure it out, but it is definitely going to happen. Why is it going to happen? See, because in travel right now, the one trend which is very established is that when you think of going for a weekend getaway or a short holiday, you don't think of a 5-star anymore or a 4-star. You don't think I'm going to go to Goa and stay in Lemon Tree. Wo thought hi nahi aata. You think I'm going to go to Goa and I'm going to stay in some really small boutique resort right on the Kandolan beach or right on one of the main beaches. You even think of looking at, I'll stay in a villa in on a cliff top. So you've started already. Customers are not thinking about hotels when they go for these breaks. Okay, when you think of going to Mussoorie or Nainital, you think of a small cottage, which is well serviced. People are taking care of you and it's right in the middle of the forest. ऐसी जगहें तो जाते हैं लोग, right?
Yes.
So ये trend तो बहुत strong है. Now, building on this trend, all these sort of properties which are there in these places, which are, let's call them offbeat. They may not exactly be offbeat, but they are definitely in environmentally sensitive zones, right? Environment hai na, unke aas-paas nature hai, that is why you're liking it also. So, those places are very sensitive, and if you're not careful, you will end up polluting the nearby forest. You will end up making sure that instead, like aap Corbett gaye tiger dekhne, but instead of seeing the tiger, you will actually ensure ki the animals go more and more deeper into the forest, because of the way that we exist today, the way that we dispose of our waste, the way, so we create pollutants everywhere, no? So the first thing that people will have to understand, and even if people don't understand it, that's okay. The hoteliers have to understand that there is no other option than to be eco-friendly, right? Because you have to take care of the places that are around you. And let me tell you, this trend has already happened in India, because in India, the hoteliers or the property owners who own such properties in these places, they are already very careful. They already employ local staff. They already have organic gardens. They already are doing their farming. They already very careful about not dumping their waste in the river or in the lake. So they already are doing all this. Okay? Now we come to the local community part of it. Local community part of it is the demand is coming from the consumer side. Okay, when you go again for a holiday, if I go to a villa where there is nothing to do and there is just one swimming pool, you're like, okay, first day you'll be very happy. Next day you want to go into, the city of Goa and you want to see what's happening. Because kuch to hustle bustle chahiye na, kuch karne ko to chahiye, kuch activity chahiye. So when you look at these resorts which are built around these local communities, what happens is there's a lot of stuff to do for the customer. Customer knows that, a picnic bhi organize ho jayega forest mein. Koi local banda trek pe le jayega, chota sa waterfall dikhane. कोई कोई मतलब बहुत कुछ हो सकता है. कोई विलेज के अंदर ले जाएगा. एंड कोई मतलब ना क्या कहते हैं मील, you know, somebody will make a meal, a local meal in their house. So all these sort of things is something that you know, like customers want it now. So they come to the resort and they say यहाँ पे experiences क्या है. They even use the word experiences. You know, पहले तो होता था ये experience क्या होता है यार, activity होता है, experience क्या होता है. But now they use this word that क्या experiences हैं यहाँ पे करने को, आप बताइए मुझे. So that demand is coming from the customer. Now the best thing about this is when that demand comes from the customer, you are anyways benefiting the local community. आपने meal खाया, पैसा local community को गया. आपने boating की, पैसा गया boatman को. आपने कोई guide से या ट्रैक किया, पैसा गया उस गाइड को. सो वो तो ऑलरेडी हो रहा है ना. इट्स सच अ ब्यूटीफुल मॉडल बिकॉज एज सून एज यू डिसाइड टू टेक द एक्सपीरियंसेस, द लोकल कम्युनिटी इज गेटिंग एम्पावर्ड. Okay, so this is happening from the customer side, and this is already again happening. It's a trend which is prevalent because the customer is asking me to give experiences, and when I give experiences, all I do is I tell the you know, the customer that see, because you took this experience, so much money has gone to the locals, and then they feel very happy about it. Obviously you will feel very happy also, no? The other trend that is happening is that one is looking for peace, mental wellness, connecting, you know, to your roots, because we are so disconnected. अभी आप और मैं भी तो Zoom पर ही बात कर रहे हैं, right? So this is our new world, and we are even getting more and more disconnected. So when people go to travel, they want to be connected, and then they feel very happy when they meet the locals. They feel that sense of accomplishment कि मैंने ये activity की और because of me पैसा मिला इस local को. They feel very happy about it. So that is the other trend that is happening. So because of these three trends, one, the hotelier recognizing that he has to be environmentally sensitive. Second, the customer demanding experiences. And thirdly, the you know, people like us telling that, you know, because you are doing this, so much money is going to the locals, and the customers feeling happy because of these three things. ये तो हो ही रहा है ना. So ecotourism, यही definition है ecotourism की actually, और कुछ है नहीं, यही definition है. So because of these three things and these three trends, you will basically see that ecotourism will become a big trend. अगले साल आप मुझसे नहीं पूछोगे, और maybe a year later, आप मुझसे you know, 2 years later, आप मुझसे नहीं पूछोगे कि ecotourism क्या है. वो सबको पता होगा इंडिया में. जैसे पहले experience नहीं पता था सबको, अब सबको पता है. ecotourism भी सबको समझ आ जाएगा.
So due to this pandemic, so the hospitality of like hospital sectors or restaurants or travel sectors as it really are. So according to you, like how long will it take to revive, or what is the action plan that all the like any founders?
Let me give you some data on this. Basically what happened last year was there was a complete lockdown, 3 months nothing happened, everybody became very distressed, all that happened, and then the market started opening up. Okay, so unlock तो हो गया था I think July में last year.
Yes.
And people ना tentatively धीरे धीरे करके people started going out. ठीक है. By end of August, the people were traveling like crazy. By October, which is anyways peak season in India, October to December is the peak quarters in India. Okay, जहाँ पे सारे destinations अच्छे होते हैं, hills भी बहुत सुंदर होते हैं, you know, सफारी सारी हो रही होती हैं, beaches are favorite of everybody. So by that time, because there were no international destinations available, people had no option but to travel within India, and occupancy rates were higher than pre-COVID time. Okay, because I'm only talking about my sector. I can't comment on business sector, I can't comment on city hotels. I'm talking about my sector, which is resorts, small locations which are near the main metros where you can drive to them. Acha, now think about COVID. You feel safe in a 500 room hotel, or do you feel safe in a cottage with 4 rooms? Obviously you feel safer in a cottage. So that COVID angle even helped that trend become stronger. So in my sector, when there is a lockdown, we face a problem. But as soon as the lockdown opens, people travel like crazy. अभी last week आपने देखा है क्या हुआ है? सारे hill के properties are sold out. इतनी गर्मी है, जो हिल के नीचे भी है ना, फुट हिल्स पे जो प्रॉपर्टीज है, रिवर वेवर, सब सोल्ड आउट. क्यों? बिकॉज जब भी कस्टमर को टाइम मिलेगा और जैसी थोड़ा सा खुलता है, दे नो कि अब टाइम है, हम चले जाते हैं बिफोर 3rd वेव और 4th वेव और 10th वेव हिट अस, कहीं घूमने चले जाते हैं. आप मानोगे नहीं, I thought I was being very smart and I went to Gwalior last weekend because I thought, Gwalior कौन जाएगा यार गर्मी में, right? कितने सारे लोग थे सैटरडे संडे को वीकेंड पे, भरा हुआ था वो रिजॉर्ट। सो ग्वालियर भी आ रहे हैं यार लोग इतनी गर्मी में, आप सोचो। सो डेफिनेटली हिल्स एंड ये सब तो टोटली फुल अप हो गए ना, दैट कंप्लीटली फुल अप। सो what I'm trying to tell you is, in my sector, COVID impacts when there is a lockdown. When there is no lockdown, people start traveling and then they feel safer in the properties that I run or the properties that I have, simply because they know that we are self-quarantined almost, right? You take up a cottage, you just have to deal with the staff. So as long as I know and I can tell you, and सारे staff आप कहीं पे भी देख लो, छोटे से छोटी property पे, market में, they are wearing their mask, they are wearing their visor, they are wearing their gloves. So you're kind of chill, you're kind of comfortable in such a scenario. So that's basically the COVID story.
So according to you, like, how do you define success and failure?
कुछ भी नहीं होता यार, neither success nor failure. Success तो I think are for people who ring the bell on NASDAQ or NSE for that matter, or who raise the $1 billion. But उसमें भी आप कितना success बोलोगे? Look at all the companies that raised $1 billion. Okay, do you think that they are successful? So success का कुछ मतलब नहीं होता. There is money. There is, let's say there is failure is about shutting down the company. So it's not really a failure. It's more about we tried something, it didn't work. Let's go on to the next one. So success और failure का कोई बहुत मतलब नहीं होता startup में, honestly. I think success, at least मेरी definition में, I'll say yes, I was wildly successful if there is mass adoption. And mass adoption means I can ring the bell on NASDAQ, I guess. I can list my company. So maybe that's success. But listing के बाद भी आपने देखा ना क्या होता है companies को, कितना मुश्किल होता है। लेमन ट्री का एग्जांपल देख लीजिए। So कोई सक्सेस नहीं होता यार, जर्नी है बस। It's just a journey, and there are highs and then there are lows. It's like that.
So as an investor, Aditi, so what are the factors that you consider for a successful startup, or what are the components?
It's exactly the same thing that people considered while they were investing in me. Okay, it's the same criteria, that how is the team? Is there a track record of the team? Who are the people who are backing the team? Because it's not just about the team, but Correct. It's about the network as well. Then, how interesting is the idea? How innovative is the idea? Is it a new idea? If it is the same thing, अब Airbnb क्यों फंड हुई, इतनी बड़ी कंपनी क्यों बन गई? Because वो होम स्टेज की कैटेगरी को hotels, मतलब they are almost converted. We call it alternative accommodation, because you either have a choice to stay in a homestay or you can stay in a hotel, right? So it's a different sort of accommodation. So it has to be innovative, very innovative. And then the last criteria which every VC looks for is scalability. How scalable is it? So only when you know that this thing will work in America, in Europe, in Asia, is it scalable? So when you make anything in India, you first, in fact, ये मेरे को किसी ने बताया था, you think US GTM. So if you think that the product you have made in India can easily go to the US, to the US market, then you know it's very scalable, and then you know that it's a good investment. So that's how you think about it.
So if you're given a choice to invest from one startup, like a comparison between people or a product, so which one would you select?
नहीं, ऐसा नहीं होता. There is never, it's always actually firstly the people, because the people have to execute, so they are way more important than the product, to be very honest. But the product also has to be interesting. आप मेरे को आओ and you say that अच्छा यार मैंने ना अचार बनाया, आपका अचार सबसे बेस्ट भी हो सकता है, फिर भी मैं फंड नहीं कर पाऊंगी उसको. You know what I mean? So it depends on the industry and on the scalability factor. That's very important. And I am actually on to my second startup, which is called weekends.com. Weekends with a V, which is all about ecotourism. So here we're not managing the properties, we're actually developing a rating mechanism where we can educate the customer that look, how eco is this property? Because at the end of the day, Taj also says I'm very eco-friendly. So are they really eco-friendly? On what parameters are they eco-friendly? So while on, say, environment, they may be way more eco-friendly than a small property in a little offbeat natural spot. But on the other hand, in terms of local community, they may not be, because उनके सारे लोग IHM से आएंगे and all that stuff. So there has to be a parameter to decide who is eco-friendly. And that is the parameter that I'm trying to build. So that is weekends.com, and you can find all the eco-friendly properties on weekends.com. And it's weekends with a V, because I'm very married to the word V. So it's weekends with a V.
Okay. So, like, when did you started like mentorship kind of a journey?
Mentorship I started only last year, COVID, during the lockdown. I was trying to figure out what I will do. At that time, I did not know I'll do another startup. So I was just trying to figure out what I will do. And I thought that I can become a good mentor for women entrepreneurs because who are looking to scale specifically, not for all women entrepreneurs, but for women entrepreneurs who are building technology-backed, large, scalable businesses. So that's when I tried it out. I mean, it's not, I don't know whether I'm a good mentor or not. I have no idea. But I started doing it. Yeah. I started talking to them, started trying to understand, because everybody's challenges are, it's not as if they have simple challenges, right? So,
yes.
So very recent, very, very recent.
So your advice for any entrepreneur who is struggling or who is stuck in a business?
In scaling the business.
Yes.
See, look, again, like I said, I work in and I focus on a very small area of businesses. Okay, so I focus on businesses which are, like I said, they're innovative, they are backed by strong teams, and they are, they have raised money or are raising money. Okay, so I know scaling, or I understand scaling when there is venture capital money. उसमें क्या होता है that you have to scale very fast, you have to be quick. Okay, you don't have time, because if somebody else scales before you, then all your money that the VC has given is wasted. Why? Because actually VC has given you money to scale. आपका प्रोडक्ट बहुत अच्छा है, आपने प्रूव कर दिया है कि कस्टमर को पसंद आ रहा है, then that's when the VC guy tells you कि ठीक है, मैं आपको पैसे देता हूँ, तो इसको बड़ा बनाओ. स्केल करने के लिए पैसे देते हैं मोस्टली. ठीक है, मोस्टली नहीं, ज्यादातर पैसे देते हैं, बिकॉज VCs डोंट गिव रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट मनी. इट्स नॉट दैट दे आर सेइंग कि आइडिया बहुत अच्छा है यार, चलो बनाओ. वो बड़ा कम होता है. इट डजंट हैपन नाउ. ठीक है, सो मुझे सिर्फ वो वाले बिजनेसेस समझ आते हैं जिन्होंने VC मनी लिया होता है, एंड देन दे आर स्केलिंग. सो उसमें द चैलेंजेस दैट कम ऑन इज दैट बिकॉज यू आर स्केलिंग वेरी क्विकली, यू मेक लॉट ऑफ मिस्टेक्स ना. यू डोंट हैव, सी, अदरवाइज आप, अगर आपका एक रिजॉर्ट चल रहा है, एक रिजॉर्ट चलेगा, वो प्रॉफिटेबल होगा, फिर उसके पैसों से आप एक और रिजॉर्ट लोगे, फिर वो चलेगा, फिर वो प्रॉफिटेबल होगा, तो आप तो एक साल में एक रिजॉर्ट ऐड कर पाओगे, राइट? वेयरएज मैंने 6 साल में 200 रिजॉर्ट ऐड कर दिए. दैट्स व्हाई द मनी वाज गिवन टू मी. इनफैक्ट 200 नंबर बहुत कम है. आप ओयो को देखो, फैब होटल को देखो, ट्रीबो को देखो, सबके नंबर मेरे से ज्यादा है. मेरे नंबर सबसे कम है. ऑफ कोर्स मेरा फंड रेज भी सबसे कम है, बट द नंबर्स आर लो. तो बेसिकली ये होता है, these are the challenges that startups fail when they are when startups in fact they do fail, because what happens is when you're scaling too quickly, you make big mistakes, and if you don't have the capital to back it, then you will fail. So that's basically what happens, right? Because you're not waiting for the property to become profitable. You're taking lots and lots of loss making properties together. So losses बढ़ते जाएंगे, right? और पैसा भी कम होता जाएगा. So those are the sort of businesses that I understand, and that's where I can come in and help a business scale. I cannot understand bootstrap businesses or other sort of businesses, and doing, like I said, doing this thing where एक resort आप एक time पे बनाओ. But to scale, there is only one fundamental that you have to understand, which is unit economics. Unit level पे पैसा बना रहा है क्या? Is it making money at the unit level? If it is making money at the unit level, then the VC says, yes, makes sense, I'll give you the money, scale. So unit economics is the main thing to focus on when you're scaling.
So one final question, Aditi. If you start off everything from scratch, from now, so what all steps that you will consider?
I am starting from scratch, yeah. I am starting from scratch.
So ignoring all the experience, right? So it's
yes, so I'm starting from scratch. I have big learnings in the HR department, in the people management department. Okay, so last time, of course, we were VC funded. Like I said, it was stressful, so I put all the stress on my teams as well. But I think this time I'm not going to do that. I'm going to build it out on my time, my pace. and I know the sort of pitfalls that can happen. So I will stop. So I will scale a little bit, then stop. Like right now, I've started with 20 properties on my platform that you can see. Okay. Now I'm going to see how those 20 do. Do people go? Do they like it? Then I will take another 100. ऐसे करके करूँगी मैं इस time. I'm not going to be very quick and very this thing. Also because I know that ecotourism बहुत लोग build नहीं कर रहे हैं फिलहाल. So I have a little bit of time before they start. But that was the same case with Wheels also. So this time nobody was looking at boutique segment, and we were the first ones who were looking at boutique segment. So it depends. But the fact of the matter is that I learned a lot about people management, and I think I will not make those mistakes as I did last time. The stress of it cannot go onto your team. Otherwise the team doesn't perform then. That's the big learning. So yeah.
So thanks, Aditi. Thanks for your valuable time. And so this video will definitely help out any entrepreneur who will be watching this video.